Hi guys, welcome to this lecture. I hope you enjoy my previous lectures. If you have any problems, so kindly add the discussion. And now in this lecture, we are going to discuss some selectors. So what are these selectors? These selectors are used to select the first element in the page, in the HTML page, or you can select the first child, last element, last child. So what are these things? I will show you. Here is, I have already created this page. It have the div here, you can see that, and I'm gonna remove these things. Why I have created this page already? Because it is too time consuming to create this HTML heads and the body. You have already know how to create it, so that's why I've already created it. So now here I'm gonna reduce this paragraph, and here it is, and here is the div. This is the first div. Here I'm gonna make it here, and now I'm gonna create too many divs. So here you can see that there are 5-6 divs in this page, and now reload it. So here are these divs. So now what I am going to do, I will give the style to this first div. Here you see that this is the first div, without targeting it, or I'm not going to give it any class name or ID name. So now I will give the style to this div, then I will select this div. We will use the separate selectors to select the last div and the first div. So how to do it? Here is the document dot ready. When the document is ready, here is function, here is this, here is this. So now here at the end I'm gonna add some space to view it clearly, and now I'm gonna select this first div, and then I will hide it. Here you can see that here I'm gonna add some text in this div so you can understand it. This is the first and this is the last. Here it is. So now here is the first div, here is the last div, and I'm gonna select the first div. So here is dollar, and then here is the element selector. What is the element selector? When we directly use the name of any element, so that is the selector. Whose what selector? Element selector. If we use the ID, so that is the ID selector. If we use the class name of any element, that will become the class selector. So these are all the selectors, but we have differentiate according to the usage of this selector. So now here when I type the div dot hide, so it will select all the divs and all the divs is hidden. So now we have to target the first div. So for this we have to write here the this colon, and then we have to write first. So it will target the first div, and first div is only become hidden. Here is, this is not hidden. Here you see that. So here you see that there is some space before the colon, so we don't need to write this space. So here you see that I will refresh it, so it is correctly execute. The output is correct. The first div is become hidden. So what's the process? You have to write the first, you have to use the first selector. We can call it first selector. It will select the first element that you will reference. Here you have to give any element name or any element name that is in the body, and it will select the first element that it will count. Here I'm going to tell you about its algorithm, how it will select the first div. When we execute this page in the browser, so browser start executing the code. So when the browser read this statement, so the browser will search for the first element, and when it will find the first element of the div, so that it's here in the sequence, it is the first element, so it will execute the first element. And if we uh, apply the functionality on the jQuery on the last element, so we have to write the last here, last. It will select the last element. Here you see that the last element is hidden and the first element will be again present. So in this way you can write both of these, first and last, by writing comma, then div, and then the first. And so now both are hidden. So in this way you can use the first and last. So you can do this thing with any element. You can do this thing with the list items, where we have a lot of list item, and you can apply the style on the first list item, on the last list item. So now here I'm gonna create a small list, and then I will apply this functionality on the list items. Here is the list item, and here I'm going to write milk, and here it is. Here is tea, here is coffee, and here is sugar. And now I will apply this functionality also on this list. Here is the list, and I will hide the milk and the sugar by using this. What we need to do here, we just need to write ul, not ul, list item, last list item, and the first list item. Here it is. So now this functionality is going to be applied on the first and last list item. Here you see that. So in this way you can select any element. And here I'm going to show you another thing, that is you can also do this same thing in another way. Here I'm gonna enclose these divs, there are divs, and I'm gonna enclose these divs inside the paragraph. So now here you see that all of these divs inside this paragraph, and these divs are now become the child element of the paragraph. The paragraph is the parent element. I hope you have already known this thing. The paragraph element is a parent element now, and the div element is a child element. All of these divs is a child element. So you can do this thing in other way. You can hide these first and last divs that are the child of the paragraph in another way, and here it is. First of all, write this, and here is, first of all, what we need to do, we have to write paragraph, then colon, and then we have to write first child. So it will select the first child of the paragraph and then hide it. So what is the first child of the paragraph? First child of the paragraph is the first div. Here you can see that, and I'm going to do this thing. So here you see that it is still present, and I'm going to look at it, and then I will tell you what is happening. So here is a little mistake. Here we have to write div, because div is the first child. Here you see that, you can see that this is the div that is the first child of the paragraph. So we have to find the the div that is the first child. So now here it is going to be hidden. Here is, you can do this thing for any element. Here I'm gonna do this thing. You can do this thing for the table. You can select the first table row, you can select the first table data, or on any element that you want to select as the last element. What the last element here, I'm gonna select the first div that is in this HTML page. So now what we need to do, here you can see that the first div in this page is this is the first div, but here I'm gonna create another div, and here is div. So now this is the first div in the page, and it is creating a problem because here we have left this / in the closing tag of the div, and now here you see that this is not the first div in the page. Here you see that the first div is now this div. So now in this way you can select the elements, any element that is a first element or that is a last element. Thank you for watching this.